I'm Blaine Washburn, Utah's high-tech agent and a longtime Pleasant Grove resident, and I'm also a contributor at the Under the G newsletter. And today I'd like to introduce you to our Spotlight of the Month. This is a Pleasant Grove teacher who has made a huge impact on the lives of our students. This teacher is Russ Mayo. He instructs digital media and also broadcasting, and you're going to absolutely love this interview. You're going to love what he brings to the Pleasant Grove community. I can't believe the kind of impact he's had on my own kids, and I know he's had it on many other kids as well. Mr. Mayo, thank you so much for coming in and taking some time to speak with us today. I appreciate the interview opportunity.
No problem. This is great.
All right, well, I got a few questions to ask you. I just want to get to know you a little bit better. Can you tell us a little bit about where you grew up and your background that way?
Yeah, I grew up here in Pleasant Grove. I went to Pleasant Grove High School. Just live up the street is where I grew up with my parents who still live there. Just up Battle Creek Road on 1500 East. So it's hometown of Pleasant Grove, and came right back to where I went to school. Loved it in school, so I decided to stay.
Homegrown Pleasant Grove boy.
Yeah.
All right, well, what inspired you to become a teacher?
I think just the sheer love of being on KPGR radio, being on an FM channel and having like a place to be able to speak, and felt like I was a DJ in high school and felt like the real deal. So yeah, when I was there, I just wanted to stay and be a part of it, so I came back.
So you're a part of radio before when you were a student at Pleasant Grove High School, and then you came back and you've taken over that program.
Yeah, I was the student manager, which to me was like the biggest accomplishment of my life when I was in high school. I played basketball for the high school, did student council, but where I spent most of my time was in the radio room, just working with different, we used carts back in the day, cart machines that were like 8 tracks and CDs and a mini disc player. And I'd be playing all the songs and acting with the radio voice saying, "You're listening to KPGR," and trying to be like a normal DJ. And it was the most fun I had in school.
Oh, that's great. What are some of your other hobbies that you have?
I think like my favorite thing to do outside of just the regular is art. I love drawing. I love animation. I like to play tennis, go running. Used to like to play basketball. Now I like to watch it, so when I can.
Well, so how do you like teaching digital media and radio at Pleasant Grove High School?
They're both awesome. I mean, the radio program is so fun. That's one that I've been able to turn over to the students, where I'll teach them kind of the basics of what you need to do to go on to the radio, how to mind your P's and Q's, follow the rules of the FCC, and some basic training. And then when they go on to be DJs, I hand all of the power over to one student who has a council, and they run the radio station. So they teach the class, they have activities, they plan everything, and they just kind of run it by me. And I'm more of an observer than I am anything else, maybe a facilitator, and try to let them know what their budget is. We've designed t-shirts, and we had like a brand of clothing that they try to make their money back, and if they make their money back, they get to keep going. But it's so fun. The students run it. It's a great time. In digital media, it's just fun. It's pure creation.
So you give them a lot of ownership then in your program.
Oh yeah, I always tell them the radio station is yours. And I used to keep it to myself, and I loved it. Like, I used to announce the basketball games, the football games, and when I finally turned that over to the students is when I realized that it's a great opportunity for them to be able to do it. And Van Boakley was the instructor before me, and he allowed me to do some games in school, and like that was really empowering for me to think he trusts me to be on the air. So I've tried to give that back to the students and let them have an opportunity to broadcast both on the radio and on YouTube and KSL, Deseret News live stream. It's been a good experience for them.
So what are some of your goals then as you teach and instruct and interact with these kids? What are you trying to accomplish with them?
My biggest goal is to give them confidence. I really, this sounds bad as a teacher, but I could not care less about the things that I give to them to learn. I want them to learn on their own, and I want them to have confidence in themselves to be able to learn the things that they want to do. And if they can learn a few things in my class, that's great, but within 3 to 5 years, everything that I'm teaching is going to change, but learning how to learn is not going to change. That's a powerful ability that a student needs to have, and it all stems from having confidence that they can do it.
So, Mr. Mayo, that actually leads right into my next question. So, I've heard from different students, my own kids who are part of your program here at the school, that you teach so different than what typical teachers, the way that they teach. Your philosophy is different. Tell us a little bit about your philosophy.
Well, I can tell you about my philosophy. I don't know about how other teachers teach, but I mainly go with what feels natural as far as learning. I know that I'm supposed to have a curriculum built and set in place, which is, I think, a good thing. But at the same time, if a student walks in and says, I just barely watched the MTV Music Awards and they did this crazy effect, I want to learn how to do it, I can take the curriculum that's in place and throw it aside and say, let's figure this out. Let's do what you want to do, and use their energy and their excitement to drive what they want to learn. I had one kid learn how to build a remote control couch, and he did it in my class. Figured out how to do that, and he stuck a lazy boy recliner on wheels and had a remote control and wheel himself around town. And to me, that type of education is something that you don't really learn in school, but I wish you would learn in school. So I'm trying to give that to the students, the enabling power to learn what you need to learn. So I think that's it.
So I've heard you from a student that you believe that assignments are limitations. Have you heard that before? Have you taught that?
I haven't taught their limitations, but I can see how they'd interpret it. Yeah, certain assignments, like if I want to give an assignment for everybody to learn how to do animation, and I give every student the exact same assignment, there's going to be a kid who's a genius in another area that animation assignment is not going to be valid, and it's not needed, and it's often a waste of their time. So I do like to give everybody a taste of something, let them learn and figure out, do I like working in this? Yes or no, because it's just as valuable to know that you hate something as it is to know that you love and are passionate about something.
And then after they decide that they like something, they go out and they create their own assignments?
Yeah, I think that's the best time, and it's not required that they go make their own assignments, but I always tell them, if you don't want to do what's listed as one of the assignments in the class, feel free to go find your own thing and build it. I've had one kid built a drone, and he borrowed a GoPro and went out and started filming things, and that's not at all part of our curriculum. But now he's an expert drone pilot. He's got his license to be able to fly the small devices, and it's pretty incredible. So yeah, going out and figuring out your own thing is way more powerful than me saying, here's something that I've pre-built, go replicate it. That's there if they want to learn what I already know, but there's so much that I don't know that I don't want to limit them to become just miniature me's.
Well, I absolutely love it. And in fact, that philosophy has worked wonders in my own children who have been in your program. So thank you for having that kind of a philosophy. So one thing I've learned about you is that the kids absolutely love you. What is it that you do to relate to them so well?
I don't know. Maybe it's just not taking the learning process so seriously, and not tying so much to point systems. And I think the biggest part, I can't take credit for it as me as a person. I think it's what I teach. I think there's a difference between an elective class and a class that's required. A lot of people will love being able to do physics and science if that's their thing. But if it's not their thing, they don't enjoy going to it. And in this class, most students opt to take the class. It's their choice. So I get to have students right off the bat that want to be here, which I think is great. And then from that point, I just try to get to know them and try to figure out what their passions are, and then kind of push them in that direction and let them know that what they're doing is great. If they're making progress, I don't care if they're beginning or an expert, wherever they are in the field, I'm going to compliment their work. Even if their work is terrible, I'm complimenting their process more than I am their work.
So you've got a radio broadcast class that has been featured on the news in the past. So tell us a little bit about this class and what makes it so special.
Well, the radio broadcast class, what makes it special is we're one of only 2 radio stations in the state of Utah. So that right off the bat is like, wow, okay, this is something that's special. The other one is Orem High School, and they're both in Alpine School District. So they came after that, and we hit like our 40-year anniversary, or whatever it is, of the beginning of the radio station. So they wanted to do a story on us. But I think the big story is that students are running things on their own. We've got KPGR Broadcasting is an umbrella that covers video and radio, and we're broadcasting live sports on YouTube and KSL. Students are doing shows every single day from about 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. during the school year, and it's all driven by students, where I get to teach them the basics, I give them the responsibilities, and then they go out and they try to learn. And one of the big things that we're doing now for sports broadcasting is we got a PlayStation 4, and we got approval to be able to play sports during class, and they'll set up and they'll film the TV, and they broadcast the games as if they were real, and so they get some real life experience before they go out on live live stream, knowing how to do it, and they know how to do the graphics for it and all that. So pretty unique stuff, and I'm hoping more schools get to be able to do it, and a lot more are. So it's a fun thing to watch.
And what an incredible opportunity for these kids. So if people want to listen to the high school radio station and their broadcast, when and how do they listen?
Listening to KPGR, right now we're just a terrestrial station, so we're on an FM station. Mm-hmm. You can listen to us on 88.1 FM, and if you want to be able to watch the broadcasts of the sporting events, we've got a YouTube channel that's KPGR 881, and then also just check Deseret News for the Pleasant Grove feed. That's usually my students running the feed.
Okay, so something else that you run is the Pleasant Grove High School Pig Pen.
Oh, yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that.
So back in 2006, I believe, we had a traveling musician named Gabe Dominguez, and his band was called Shake Your Peace. And he came through and played in the lunchroom, and I thought to myself, my classroom's big enough. I could invite people to come and talk and share their story and do concerts here at the school. And I cleared out all the desks, built a stage, had a sponsor give that to us, and we've been running pig pens ever since. And hopefully we can get through this whole time and be able to get them back running. We missed out on our end of the year concert this year, but we're hoping to be able to do some next year. But yeah, we built the venue and we named it the Pig Pen after KPGR has been known as the Pig for some reason. So we called it the Pig Pen, and students run all the lights, the sound. They book the bands, they contact them, and that type of experience is something that gets them out of their comfort zone. I know when I was in high school, I wouldn't want to contact an adult and say, hey, can you come play in our venue, and no, we're not going to pay you. We want you to be able to play for some students, and this is the time that you're playing. There's another band after you, and the coordination of an event planner, it's stuff that you usually don't get in high school. And I had one student go on to be able to do event planning for a really big company, and using their experience from KPGR, I think it helped them along the way. She's come back and talked to my class before, and it's been really fun to watch students get out of their shell. Kids that didn't even want to speak on air later have turned into some of the most just bold kind of salespeople, and some that have gone on to work for iHeartRadio and different places, and they're not afraid to talk to people, and it's, I think, the power of having to do things.
Well, what an amazing program and opportunity for these kids. So when you hold these concerts, is it opened up to the community or just the students or parents?
Yeah, it's open to the community. It's a safe place to bring kids. We talk to the bands and make sure that their language is appropriate, and we usually have bands that are very low not low energy, but just not kind of that swing the microphone around until you hit somebody in the face, scream, spit blood in the air. We're more of the sit back and listen to just some pretty calm music. So yeah, it's open to the community, and we encourage people to come in and check it out. There are a lot of high school students that come to it, and it's open to all different schools. So we've had people from all over. We reach out to bands from different schools to come play. It's mostly, our goal is to get local bands some airtime where maybe they couldn't play at a big venue. We'll give them a shot to start and get that experience to know what it's like to be in front of a crowd, because that's I think better practice than a lot of times sitting in your room just working on your trade. You get to go out and learn how to perform.
I've heard that you seek out technology competitions for your students. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, seeking out is kind of it's a stretch. There's a thing called Skills USA that I've had my students compete in, and that's a CTSO for students to be a part of, and they get to compete at the state level and the national level. But we've also, as a group of teachers, have worked together to create what's called the the Utah Broadcast Awards, and students get to go and compete against others in audio, in video production, and different pieces there, anything that is broadcast. And then we're also a part of the Utah High School Film Festival, which is the longest running high school film festival in the world, and we've been doing it for a long, long time. So kids get to go compete and make movies and see which ones the judges like best, and it's a pretty good time.
Well, I know that radio and digital media can be pretty interesting sometimes. Do you have any funny or crazy stories with students at the high school that you could share with us?
Yeah. So this is a sports broadcasting story. Anytime that we do sports broadcasting, it gets pretty interesting. So I've got a couple different stories from this. One of the first ones is we went to broadcast back when it was the Delta Center. We were doing a broadcast, and we had the TNT guys sitting behind us as we were setting up our equipment, and they had their nice multi-million-dollar truck back behind, and they gave us a tour. But when we were setting up, they saw we had like a TV VCR combo, another one, we had like 5 of those, we had a mixer board and all these things, and we heard the TNT guys behind us saying, how are they getting graphics to that thing? And they broke down our whole setup, and they're like, it looks like he's running it from a computer into an S-video cable, then into the digital mixer that switches it to this. And it was just fun to be able to see that they were interested in what we were doing. And that was really fun to be able to go up there. Another one is we went to broadcast at, I think it was Payson High School, and we forgot our headsets to be able to broadcast the game. And this is with Matt Biamonte and Kyle Bruderer, who Matt Biamonte is with KSL now doing sports broadcast stuff. And we get to the game, and we didn't have any over-the-air headphones, so we used some of the engineering and reverse engineering and took some just earbuds and plugged them into the microphone jack. And it's back before you had that little attachment. So we're just talking into the speaker of the headphone, and we broadcast the game because speakers are microphones and microphones are speakers. Mm-hmm. And it was a pretty interesting broadcast to be able to have them working and just holding little earbuds talking. And it was that dedication that they had to be able to say, we want to broadcast this game. The basketball game's that important. We want to be able to get that to the public.
Well, that's great. Okay, so I got another question for you. So who is Wade Timpalonpeak, the attorney at law?
So we have a YouTube channel, and my classes, we always put together some type of video that the class works together to create. And we took an SNL skit with Will Ferrell and converted it to make a video about sportsmanship. And it was quite the video. So he's an attorney that will sue students for being bad sports. If they boo a fan, they'll sue them. And it was just a fictional character, a blend of Timpanogos and Lone Peak. And I don't know, it's pretty embarrassing. So if you want to check out the YouTube channel, you can
We'll have to put a link to it.
Yeah, see me at my worst.
Okay, how about how did the King Kong Cone video get made?
So King Kong Cone, that's also on the YouTube channel. Those were some pretty dark days. So I was trying to make a video every single week just to refine my skills. I had been watching a series of videos that people had made on Waverly Films, and they had like a weekly video that they were releasing. And I thought, well, if they can do that and get really good at what they're doing, I'm going to do the same. So I made probably about 10 videos back to back, and I released them every week. And that was one of the videos that was released. With my roommate, I was just documenting how gross his beard was. And just started to do some type of Russian rap, and we turned it into a music video talking about the King Kong cones down at Macy's. It's a student favorite, but for some reason, it's what I'm most embarrassed of.
It's one of our favorite. Oh. So have you coached sports teams as well?
Yeah, in high school I ran cross country and I played tennis, and so when I came back I wanted to get involved just because I didn't know any better. I just knew this is the season for cross country, this is for tennis, for basketball, and I just wanted to be a part of it. So I started coaching boys and girls tennis my first year teaching here, and then I started working as well with the cross-country team probably about 7 or 8 years later. And now I'm running a class in the morning for the cross-country team to do recovery runs, and hoping to be able to someday get back into coaching. I kind of hung it up once I got married and had my first daughter, and now I've got 2 little girls, and as soon as they're old enough to come out and hit some tennis balls with me, we'll see what we can do to get back into the game.
What about clubs? What clubs are you involved in with the kids? Which clubs have you sponsored?
The clubs that we've run here, we've got Modern Music Development, we call it MMD, and that's where we run the Pigpen concerts. The radio station is KPGR, and that's another one of our clubs. Our sports broadcasting is another piece of that club, and I was the advisor of the Madden Club. Some kids just wanted a teacher to be in charge, and so they just play Madden. And they collected some fees and made some T-shirts and things, but that's since gone away. So I'm also helping with a club next year that's going to be it's esports, where students get to compete in like Super Smash Brothers, and it's becoming a really big piece of clubs in all of Utah. So that one should be really fun. And there's Skills USA, like I talked about before, and just a few other pieces to it. So,
well, one thing us as parents love is how invested you are in these kids here at the school. Now, I've heard that you do video and marketing projects outside of the high school. What are some of the projects that you've worked on?
The biggest projects that I've worked on would be with the band Imagine Dragons. One of my best friends, he's made a lot of videos for them, and I'm lucky to be his friend, so I got to go and work on a few of those when he called me up. And the biggest one is the Believer music video, where Dolph Lundgren is punching out the lead singer of Imagine Dragons, Dan Reynolds. And I got invited to help out with that, and I was told that I could bring a crew of students to help out. So I had 3 students from Pleasant Grove High School, and then 3 from UVU that came up and helped. And it was pretty fun because they were given a non-disclosure saying, hey, you can't talk about this video until it's released. And it didn't come out for quite a few weeks, so they had to be like really hush-hush about what they had done. And when I asked them if they could help, I told them, I was like, I've got an opportunity for you. It's really great. I can't tell you anything about it. I need you from this time to this time, because if they said no, then they'd leave and go tell all their friends, like, there's an Imagine Dragons video. Mm-hmm. But they got to help with the behind-the-scenes documentary piece where we were filming, and they got to interview Dolph Lundgren and go and meet the band, and it was a really fantastic opportunity for them. And it was fun for me, too. It was one of the few times that I've been starstruck when I've seen a celebrity, because if you see Dolph Lundgren from Rocky V, all of a sudden childhood exercise, trying to beat the Russian, come back to my mind. And it was a really fun time to take some students to work on that.
So how many hits did that video get?
I know that a few months ago it had hit the billion mark, so a billion something, so which is incredible.
What an amazing opportunity for these kids to put that on their resume.
Yeah, to say that I got to be a behind the scenes person for a billion views, that's pretty awesome.
And what are some of the other companies or people that you've done videos for?
I attribute this all to my connections that I've had, but I've got another friend that's worked with the RSL, and we did the If You Believe chant video. We released that to the public, and it was one of my good friends that got me on there. And then The Moth and the Flame, and I'm trying to think of the other ones. But Lagoon, I did some storyboards for Lagoon, and just random things just here and there. Usually I don't seek out those employment opportunities. They just usually, people will contact me, and if it works out, I can do it. If not, I turn them down.
And I heard there was one project that even had Jack Black involved in somehow.
Oh yeah, and this one was, there's a documentary out there called, I forgot what it is, something to do with Gru. It's about a local filmmaker named Stephen Gru, and they did a documentary of him making a film, and they wanted to see if Stephen Gru was given $1 million if he could make a really good film, because he makes so many low-budget films, and he's got kind of a cult following. So they got him $1 million, and they asked who they'd have as the lead, and it was Jack Black. And so I was in part of the process of trying to get Jack Black on board to be the lead actor in this Gru movie. And I think it's called A Tale of the Elves. I don't know. You don't quote me on that one. That one's I know that I'm way off on it. But Jack Black got to see the video explaining what they wanted to do with the documentary, and so I didn't get to work directly with him, but I was in a project with Jack Black.
Oh, that's incredible. Well, I just love the opportunities that you're creating for these students. Just a couple more questions here. Tell us a little bit about the progress you've seen here at Pleasant Grove High School in terms of technology, and also tie that into what you've seen happen to these kids as they go through your program and then they go out into their professions.
Okay, yeah, that's great. When I first got here, it was 2001, and I worked to build a computer, and we had one computer, and I guess two. One to run the radio station, and one to be able to do some video editing. And kids would fight over that computer, and they produced a lot of content, almost as much content as what's created now, where everybody's got their own computer because they just wanted that time. But we've gone from that one computer to where now every single student's got a computer. We've got cameras that we can check out to students. We've got lights, we've got audio recording devices, we even got a drone to be able to go get aerial shots. I just got approved by the district. We worked pretty hard for about 6 months to figure out how to get virtual reality into Pleasant Grove High School. We're a pilot class for this, and so we'll run it this year and figure out if it's something that we'll be able to open up into other schools, but they'll be able to do animation. They can do digital sculpting inside of it that you can see from all angles, and they're doing it in real time. It's pretty fantastic. So I'm excited for students to be able to do that. I'm developing the curriculum now, but also being able to stream. We used to have to take all these different TVs to monitor things, and now kids are mixing with an iPad. They can have up to 4 cameras going at once, live graphics, instant replay, and it just fits in a backpack and they can take it. My students are out there broadcasting two times a week, sometimes 3, and before it just took so much energy, and now it's so quick and so easy.
Wow, amazing opportunities. And what companies have they gone on to work for?
A lot of the companies they've gone to work for where they've had tons of success are not necessarily doing video editing or anything to do with radio. I've had students work for Qualtrics. I had a couple are working for Apple right now, and just all over the place. Kids have been on Shark Tank doing different things. I'm not exactly sure where they all are, but I do get some emails saying, hey, thank you for the things that you taught in the class. I usually respond with, yeah, they're not things that I taught, they're things that you just picked up because I didn't teach, which is kind of a weird, backward way to go through it, but things that they were forced to learn on their own with some guidance. So,
well, my own son, you've inspired him to become an animator, and it is his goal to work for Disney.
Oh, that'd be so fun. And I'll make sure to make him come back and talk to my class.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, one last question for you. Where's your favorite place to eat in Pleasant Grove?
Favorite place to eat in Pleasant Grove? I think it's the classic Taco Amigo. I like going to Taco Amigo. Mainly, it's my favorite because my wife and my daughters love it so much. But if I were just to go sit down and eat by myself, it'd be Cocolitos.
Awesome.
I love the Mexican restaurant. It's a fun little place, and I just like how cozy it is. It's fun.
Yeah, those are both awesome restaurants. I mean, they've got some good ones here in Pleasant Grove, and we love both those as well. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Mayo. Sure appreciate you taking some time to speak with us. Thank you so much for everything that you do for the kids here at the school. You've made a lasting impression on so many of these students. Thank you.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate it.